Hello and welcome everybody. This is Abdullah, co-founder of Silverline Community and your host to the Minhu podcast, the show that sheds light on the movers, shakers and shapers of the creative and cultural industries. Continuing on our theme on application, we're here today with Matteo El Khodr. Matteo is one of the Arab world's first countertenors. His bel canto sections are ornamented, strong, complicated, dramatic, beautiful, sorrowful, and gentle and fierce, maybe like Matteo himself. El Khodr learned the singing style of Francesco Tosi, author of the first historical book on vocal technique, which gave a unique look at the technical and social components of Baroque vocal music. He has thrived on his vocal timbre and color nuances, notably in castrati arias, without overplaying his parts or adding aesthetic tricks to moving arias. Matteo graced local, regional, and international stages, charming royalties and general public with his captivating voice. Matteo, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for hosting me and with this wonderful introduction. I'm super moved. Thank you so much, Abdullah.
You're welcome. I didn't mention the fact that you're an artist, but you have a lot of time for you to tell us more about it soon. But in the meantime, would you please share with us a little bit more of your background?
I'm going to start from the beginning. I was born in Beirut from Greek and Turkish origins. My dad is half Greek and my mom is half Turkish. So we grew in this beautiful, gorgeous mansion from the 1918 in Beirut. I'm sorry, I'm going to get through something in my ideas. This is why I'm mentioning the date, because I was born in this gorgeous house. We were the fifth generation, surrounded by art, by gorgeous furniture, by paintings, and that you have around you. So I was born in this and in a very secular family. My parents were very open to me learning everything that I wanted to learn. So it was very not typical of Lebanese parents and education. So I was very open to sports again, and I was very open to arts in multiple forms. So I had an instructor, a theater instructor. I had a music and a piano instructor at home. And a kid is very curious. So I was mimicking and imitating the voices that I used to hear in Disney movies, because I was a kid like everyone, but I was much more different. So I used to imitate a lot the voices of the singers in Disney movies, in La Belle au Bois Dormant, in Sleeping Beauty, or in Cinderella, or in Snow White. And I had this very thin, like we say, vibrant voice since I was a kid. So my parents thought that I might be gifted with musical skills. So I started piano lessons at home, and I was singing on the side like an amateur. And painting came along, and theater came along. And then when I was growing up, I was a kid of my century, of course. So I used to make a lot of things, and to go to clubs, and to do fake IDs, to enter into clubs. But my interests were very different from other people's interests. So at age 17, I was singing in my mom's birthday here in a restaurant in Beirut. And there were a lot of people invited. And there were two guys who came to talk to me and told me that after me singing, that they want to do projects with me. And they want me to go a little bit much further than when I was. So we recorded a demo with Guy Manoukian back then. And in his studio, I was 17 years old. I was still at school doing my terminale or première, I don't recall. 3 months later, we got a call from Universal Music, because they have sent apparently the demo to them. And they wanted a meeting in Paris. So I went with my mom to this new adventure, not knowing what was waiting for me. And I did a live audition in front of Universal Music people, and I was like completely overwhelmed with the situation, because I wasn't expecting anything that to happen. When you work with Lebanese people, it's always talking and not doing. But apparently they were doing a lot of things in the shadow. So I got a huge contract with Universal, and they told me that we had to wait for me to graduate from school, and then we take the things from there. So I graduated from school. I was a smart kid at school. I used to have good grades, but I was very, like we say, musherib. And
Méchant.
I was a very musherib kid. So I used to always be with the cool guys and the messy people. And anyway, so I graduated with distinction, and then I started, because it was a little bit in the unknown. I started in Académie des Beaux-Arts in Alba to do fine arts, because I didn't know that my passion for singing is going to be my job, my full-time job. So I had to start somewhere. I had to integrate college. So I went to doing fine arts with a perspective of doing interior architecture. And then Universal Music people come to Lebanon, and they meet my parents, and they meet everyone, and they see where I live, and they see this beautiful, gorgeous mansion in Clemenceau, and they got very mesmerized by the world that I was living in, to start building the career and to shape my personality on the media. So they told my parents they told my parents that I had absolutely to move to Paris. My God, excuse me, Abdullah, I need to go to the charger in my room because I am on 10%. So I had to pack my bags and move to Paris, and how everything started actually.
But the beautiful thing about your experience, from what I heard, is that you were never fazed by the fact that you may not be a professional in a certain field. You will just do it and learn while you were doing it.
Sorry, can you repeat your question? I was a little bit disconnected.
No, it's fine. What I appreciate about your process is that it feels like you're not fazed or intimidated by the fact that you might not be a professional in certain areas. You will do it, you will learn while you are doing it, while you're applying your passion.
Absolutely. They threw me in this career. I was just a beginner. I had never taken one single course of singing. Can you imagine? At age 18, signing a huge contract, recording an album while I was still learning the techniques of music. But apparently, since I was a kid, I was singing. So there's a natural technique that was built in me that was very comfortable, but I had, of course, to fine tune everything. So I had to take courses, and I had to take to go back to go actually to music school while doing my fine arts school. So along. So it was a very, very, very busy schedule for me. So I was running all around. I was 18, 19 years old, recording an album, learning how to sing, integrating the École Normale de Musique, and integrating the fine art school, l'Académie de la Grande Chaumière in Paris. So I was a very busy student. But so this is where I grew, actually, because Paris, Paris is the capital of everything. Capital of arts, capital of music, capital of where everything could and might happen. So I was drinking music. I was going to concerts, going to museums, going to the opera, going to the theater, and I was being very culturally active. So I had the base, and I had to nurture everything with what I used to see. So wonderful journey.
Why Paris and not Italy, especially when it comes to classical singing?
Because we Lebanese feel that Paris is like the second Beirut. So it was very easy for me, since I was French educated too, and I was in a French system. So Paris was always, like we say, c'est une extension de Beirut. So Paris was easy for us. It's 4 hours from here. There's a lot of Lebanese in Paris. So automatically, we don't think about other destinations when you're in this kind of social circle. I was born in this social circle where Paris was here everywhere. So we knew people living in Paris. We knew Lebanese living in Paris, people succeeding in Paris, very high positions in work in Paris. So Paris was close and reassuring for Middle Eastern parents like mine. So
you started off with Universal Music, and where is your journey right now with them?
Okay, actually, with Universal, it was ups and downs. So 5 years later, after the contract, I broke the contract with Universal because they were facing la crise du disque. There was a crisis. The digital was here. Spotify didn't come yet. So the market of the CDs were like, it was like going down.
It crashed almost, yes.
Yeah, it was crashing, and they was facing restructuration in the firm. So I was like, with a label. It's called AZ, and they told me that they can't make money anymore, they can't pay anymore. So I was like, either way, they're gonna fire me or I was gonna leave because they were actually they had the monopoly on everything with me. So I couldn't do a concert without telling them, without them getting the money, etc. So I was a little bit tight, and I was growing up. I was learning a lot. My experience was bigger and much more independent. So I was growing actually. So I told them to that we're gonna pause the contract for the moment. That I'm gonna fly with my own wings and I'm gonna do my career, and then we take it from there. And this is what happened actually. So I did my career, I did my concerts, I signed with an agent, with a very powerful Italian agent who took me everywhere in the world. On biggest stages, it can be private dinners for royalty, from Prince Albert to the Prince of Hanover to the Prince of Buckeburg, from Austria to Schönbrunn Palace, whatever you can imagine as a palace in Europe. I went there and met the royalty of Liechtenstein, and all these wonderful people who is who are a private circle. You know what I mean? So to get there, it's quite difficult. And I went there through the big door, and the stages of the operas and the productions with the biggest countertenors back then. And I was the only countertenor in the Middle East and the first one. So when I came to Lebanon in 2007, came back to Lebanon 2007 with the first concert here in Lebanon, it was family and friends. And 2008, I did the closure of the Beit Din Festival, and I saw a huge crowd, a huge crowd from kids to 90 years old people. And I was like, okay, so my people are here, my people are appreciating me, because I was scared. It's a niche art. I'm a countertenor singing Baroque music in a Middle Eastern country where we don't have the culture of opera here. We here we have the tarab, we have the Arabic pop, and we have the Western pop, but we don't have the countertenor and the Baroque music. So I was very proud to introduce this voice and to introduce this kind of music here.
You should
So,
be.
yeah.
Based on the story, we have three tangents that we can diverge from. The first tangent is, as a creative person and as a performer, it's not is it that scary to be on your own and take control of your own fate as opposed to depending on a record label?
Yes, it has its cons and it has its pros, because you don't do what the record label does for you, and you can fly and you can experiment and you can be a little bit more of an open artist. You know what I mean? For collaborations, for your own journey, you trace your own journey, and it's a little bit insecure, yes, at the same time, because you're like with an agent. You don't know where you're gonna go, you don't know what you're gonna do. You're not in a part of a program actually, and part of a structure. It's like when you're a freelancer, you know what I mean? So you don't have the salary at the end of the month, but sometimes you get like $30,000, and sometimes you're like minus 2-3,000. But this is the price to pay to be free, and this is the price to pay. But it's gonna pay later, because a few years later, I was contacted by the Voice France.
Yes,
Universal Music again. You see, Universal Music France, and they contacted me again, and they told me that they're very interested for me to represent Lebanon in this program. So since actually it's been 7-8 years, they've been calling me, and I wasn't ready at all to do it, because to do something like that, you have to have tragedies or things to say or a story to tell. And my story was not complete until my mom got sick. She got cancer. She got breast cancer. And it was a big shock for us. I was living in a bubble, in a very comfortable bubble, where my parents had the means to send me to private schools, to pay a 2,000 euro apartment in Saint-Germain-des-Prés. And for me, life was beautiful. And I was living in this beautiful bubble. But the bubble was pierced, and my mom got sick. And the essential things were the health. I didn't care about the money or the thing that was happening around. Even my career was booming back then, and I had to sing actually for her. my aim was to sing for her to heal. I wasn't singing for the money anymore, or my career, or for me, or for my own happiness. I was singing for her happiness. And so this was my first chapter to tell. And then there was the revolution, the Lebanese revolution. I'm a guy who is profoundly grounded in my country, who is profoundly in love and passionate about my roots and uh, my Lebanon, and my version of Lebanon is very, 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 very important to me. So I consider myself one of the most, I'm not being very, I want to be very humble because I am very humble, but I like to think to think like that
But it's okay to know your worth. It doesn't mean that you're not humble.
absolutely.
Yes.
This is my precision in this. So I know what I'm worth, and I know that I'm one of the best ambassadors maybe for my country. So, and I do it passionately, and I do it spontaneously. Nothing is calculated. You know what I mean? Nothing is meant to send a message. Or I do it because like we say. I'm very passionate about everything that I do in my life is مقتنع. I never do anything that I'm forced to do it. Even when I have to when someone gives me a rendezvous, I hate to do it because I don't like it. إذا ماني مقتنع. I do it on my own time, and because I'm a very passionate person and I'm very sensitive. So this was my first story to tell. It was my mom, then Lebanon falling apart and this revolution, and I was on the street every day. You remember it was in November, and it started to rain, and I remember that every day I was there with my boots, sometimes alone with my boyfriend under the umbrella, because there was nobody. It was pouring rain. So I was deeply, deeply, deeply very touched by the revolution, and I was doing my duty as a good citizen. And the voice happened, and they wanted me to come to Paris and to record everything. And I was feeling guilty to leave the streets to go to Paris, but I told myself, this is my revolution now. Lebanon needs me more than ever. Lebanon needs this exposure, needs this light of hope now. So I packed my bags and I left for Paris to record the first audition and the second audition and the third audition. And it happened, and it aired, and I signed 17 contracts to start a tour with Universal and my agent, and it was starting to happen again. And while I was in Geneva and then in Bückeburg, and then I got to St. Moritz, and I remember it was the day of my concert in St. Moritz, and I was with my boyfriend in bed watching the first episodes of The Voice, and mine was airing in February. So we came back from St. Moritz and to pack bags and to leave again, and COVID happens. So I was again in the unknown. I didn't know what to do. All my contracts got suspended, and I learned to accept the fate because I wasn't the only one in this planet. Everyone was locked. So I had to accept the situation and this tragedy and to live with it. And I'm a very positive person, so I learned to accept everything and to make the best out of it. This is it. So, and thank God we were in Beirut for the lockdown, because I was hearing a lot of stories in Paris in these tiny apartments, living by yourself, becoming crazy. And Beirut was sweet to us. Lebanon was very sweet to us during COVID. We had the family around. It was very harsh because it was during the economical crisis, and but we lived through it. And then I lost my house in the blast completely.
Wow.
No walls. I live in Mar Mikhail, facing the port, facing the silo, in a beautiful 1920 building, and we lost everything. So again, I had to accept and to learn how to rebuild and to learn how to get the best out of it and how to stay positive. So voila, Abdullah, this is it.
Every time I ask you a question, you answer, and I keep thinking we probably need to have another podcast for every single answer you do. So right now I have like 20 different podcasts to discuss with you. But first of all, I want to congratulate your mom on her health and on her amazing culinary career that I see through your Instagram. So أول شيء الحمد لله على سلامتها, and I'm very proud of her and her as a woman and her generation to follow her dreams and do what she loves to do.
Absolutely. And to stay smiling and laughing despite really everything, because we lived crap.
Yeah.
Okay, our generation lived crap, but their generation is fully crap. So between the war, actually they had like 5 years only of happiness between 2000 and 2005, and then it started crashing again. So can you imagine?
But speaking of happiness and unity, it's amazing how your episode with The Voice, what Mayas did in America's Got Talent, what's happening right now in Qatar and the World Cup is all of these soft power tools that create unity and harmony and hope, and but they're extremely underlooked when we are in that kind of bubble that you mentioned. So, like, what do you think about this?
كيف يعني underlooked؟ بس اعطيني شوي.
We take them for granted. For example,
اه
especially let's say when my Yas happened, or actually when your concert happened, we were in the middle of a revolution, but somehow your performance and your voice further united the people. When Mayas happened and they won, we're in the depths of misery in Lebanon, economically, politically, everything. But then some kind of like basis amal, a glimmer of hope, was there through the act of performing arts. What's happening right now in Qatar, how it's uniting Arab nations together and cheering all the Arab teams that are winning and are proud, regardless of we agree about its hosting it.
اكيد.
Something has happened in Qatar that has also united Arabs together. So it's these ideas, it's these soft power tools that seem to be overlooked and underestimated, economically speaking, mentally
It
speaking.
is actually, it is.
Yeah.
Art, music, sports, we shall rise only with this, nothing with nothing else.
True.
أنا عم بقول للعالم، I always say to people, Lebanon will only rise, and this هلا okay عدناها, we started getting bored from these slogans, بس عن جد this is deeply meaningful. No, art, music and sport, they unite people عن جد. This is not a cliché. ما عم نخترع ولا عم نقول des proverbes هيك dans l'air. عن جد لأنه أنا I see what's happening in my concerts.
Sure.
I see different religions. يا خيي من إمتى, since when we see veiled women coming to listen to Stabat Mater of Vivaldi in a church?
How
فسر
beautiful.
لي فسر لي how when I sang in there's a year, I think 2010, I did you know that in Lebanon we have a new Eid. It's la fête de la Vierge, which is Islamo-Chrétien. It's one date of the celebration of Virgin Mary, because it's a virgin.
Is it
Yeah,
the
yeah.
assumption of the version?
I don't know if it's the assumption, but it's une fête islamo-chrétienne. They announced it like a few years ago, and when I came and did a concert for the sorry, I had a call. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So when they announced, there was this new شو بيقولوا عيد celebration of the Virgin Mary and fête islamo-chrétienne in Lebanon. It was very symbolic. So since I'm a Muslim, so I'm a Sunni from Beirut, and there was this beautiful soprano, she's Christian. We sang together for the Virgin Mary during this Eid of the Virgin Mary, and there was imams listening to us in a church, priests, veiled women, Christian guys, Christian women, Druzes, and it عن جد يعني هلا أنا I'm anti religious. I'm very secular. You know what? But for me, religion. I'm a very spiritual guy. So
Well, it's just
anyway,
the idea that your art form of music does unite people, regardless of their
it does.
religious
does.
beliefs, cultural, what have you.
It does, and when I sang in The Voice, or whatever in the world, it unites all the Lebanese from the world, despite every country, despite the language, despite the religion, despite everything. They used to come and they used to cheer and they used to send messages, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful. This is why I always say, with art we shall rise again, because this is what's going to happen. With painting, we shall rise again. With music, with sports, it's very important. It's underestimated and very important.
And do you see that technology can play a role in helping us use these tools to rise? Or
Of
do you think,
course,
okay.
of course. It started with the coronation of Elizabeth in I don't know what year, when the TV was airing everything that was live. It gave the people the right to see the sacred and the profane and the beauty of the accession to the throne. It gave Elizabeth what she is right now, a myth, a legend. So this is what the social media is doing. Actually, it has a double sense. Social media can be very bad, and social media can be a very powerful tool. So from home in COVID, for example, I used to do concerts, online, and it was wonderful for the others and wonderful for me, because when you lock an artist, I'm like a bird. When you lock me in a cage, I die. So through social media and technology, it was absolutely fantastic. I was touching people, and I was receiving messages from Cuba, messages from Venezuela, messages from Canada. So yeah, technology is fantastic, and we have to be always up to date with everything that's happening to us. And art can always be updated. It's amazing.
So you're about to have your exhibition with one of the galleries in Beirut.
Yes.
So do
Can
you
you
want to talk
imagine?
more about it?
Yeah, sure. Actually, during COVID, I had a lot of time on my hand, obviously, and I started painting again, because I stopped painting in 2006, 2007, to give more space to my career, because I had a teacher who told me that if I wanted to do a lot of things, I'm going to end up doing nothing. So I concentrated on my opera career and my voice and my technique and my concerts, and I told myself, painting has no age. I can paint whenever I can, and I feel like it again. So during COVID, I had a lot of time on my hands, so I started with sketches again, and dreading the moment after 15 years of break. And it came back. Actually, it's like driving or swimming. It came back naturally. I'm a natural painter. I'm a natural artist. So I started doing series, doing more research, and then when COVID disappeared, I was like going back to galleries and stuff like that. And I realized that in Lebanon, the art scene is more than vibrant. I'm shocked, actually. There's a new gallery happening every week. There's new openings, vernissage, people buying art. The art, no, it's incredible. I wasn't expecting this from Lebanese people. So I was mesmerized with this, and I told myself, why not exhibiting again? Why not sharing? Because I love sharing. I love. What's the point of creating if it's not for sharing? I don't
Absolutely.
understand.
Would you
I don't
ever
understand.
share your art form, whether it's your music or your paintings, in an NFT format?
No.
What?
Not yet. بعد ما فتت براسي ما فهمت
Okay.
هالتريب بعد.
Okay. شيء اللي ما فات براسك.
بعد ما فتت ان اف تي ما عم
Okay.
بستوعب الكونسيبت يعني.
Okay.
بعدني اولد سكول بهالموضوع يعني. I'm trying to adapt. Everything is so quick and fast. ما عم لحق.
True.
ما عم لحق.
Actually, this is
So
one of the downfalls of the NFT market, is that it's developing in at such a rate. It's very difficult to catch up, even with the language that they use.
absolutely.
Yeah.
ما عم لحق. I'm being very honest يعني. ما عم لحق يعني.
No, it's
في عالم go ahead.
no. I'm in the industry, and this is one of the things that we deliver as a service. And on a daily basis, I have to play catch up.
مش معقول.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So I have so I started going into the art scene more and more gradually, and meeting those wonderful people and wonderful artists. Everybody knows Matteo, so I'm like a brand, you know what I mean? So I told myself, why not exhibiting and showing this other side of me? Since everybody knows me, now they can see the other side too, you know what I mean? So there's this art collector who believes in me since a long time, and he's wonderful. So I showed him a little bit of my pieces, and he told me, look, I'm opening a gallery, and I want to do a collective and then a solo with you. So let's start with the collective, and let's see what happens. And I was like, are you sure? I was like a little bit shy, but seeing the scene in Lebanon and this vibrant people around me. So I told myself, تعرف شو أنا بزت حالي. I'm not afraid. I'm a warrior. I don't care. So I dived into this adventure, apparently very competitive, but I don't care. It's just for sharing.
It's a very
And
good thing.
it's
Don't
happened.
worry. I relate.
and yeah, here I am exhibiting the 10th of December, and I'm very proud, very happy. He took 5 pieces from me. It's a collective exhibition, so we're 10 artists. You have huge, big artists, and you have tiny artists like me. But I'm quite impressed with the result, and I'm very happy. Actually, I'm going to tell you something more, Uma. Lebanese people, they have a lot of défauts, like we say, but they have a lot of qualities, because the people that I met, or maybe it's me, the people that I met in the art field, they like embraced me, they hugged me, and they took me under their wings, and they told me that if I ever needed anything, and they are really here for me. So preparing an exhibition within 2 months, I think it's a blessing, and I'm very happy and proud, not of myself only, but I'm proud of the Lebanese people. This is what happened actually during the explosion. I was happy with proud of the Lebanese people, because c'est la société civile. I'm not talking about those crappy politicians. I'm talking about la société civile. La société هلا كتير في زعران, بس في عالم that make me believe in this country that it has a huge potential for me to stay and not to leave and give them the country. You know what I mean?
I do. I want to wrap up with a question for you. What's the one misconception that people have of you that you would like to correct?
I used to want to correct it, but I don't want to correct it anymore. Everybody thinks that Shaif Hali, and everybody thinks that I'm a diva. Yes, I am. وماني شايف حالي. I know what I'm worth. I've been through a lot. And every day, like today, I'm the better version of myself than yesterday, because I'm in a constant remise en question. And I always ask myself the good questions. And I'm very well surrounded. And I work on myself to get better every single day. And I'm a very humble person. And I'm a person who says sorry, and I'm a person who admits its mistake, and I'm a person who accepts constructive criticism, but don't step on my feet if you're nothing, if you're nobody, and if you're a mean person, because I cannot accept bad taste. This is it. So yeah, this is me.
That's fantastic, Matteo. Honestly, I hope the other listeners will appreciate the clarity and the kindness that I'm experiencing with you while we're having this conversation. And to me, it was really more of a conversation than an interview. One day we will meet in Beirut.
Yalla, these 2 days, I promised you.
I'm traveling, but when I'm back, we're definitely going to have to meet, and we're going to pick up on these conversations. I really thank you so much for your time and everything that you do. I want to thank you for everything that you do for the art forms that you represent, for the generations that you give power to, and for the love that you share for the country.
Abdullah, I'm going to just clarify something. Anjad, you don't need to thank me. I do it with all my heart, with all my conviction, and I think this is the duty of every single citizen or artist to do this for its country and for its people. So this is the only message that I need to say, really.
It's delivered. Thank you so much, Matteo.
Habibi Abdullah, thank you so much.
Have a good day. Bye.
You too. Ciao.